Woo, face reveal! Okay, hello guys, welcome to this new video. So, if you've been following me on social media for the past weeks or months, you might have noticed that I'm currently slightly obsessed with plants. I've been drawing them pretty much every day and have been posting a lot of drawing of them. And I was really inspired to release a small collection of prints and stickers to sell later on Etsy. And I already did a first test print here. So I already did the first test print here, and I'm pretty happy with it as far as it goes, but I feel like I kind of want to rework the composition just a bit. And mostly it is about the sides of the poster, which I just filled with some leftover drawings from my sketchbook, and I want to do things a bit more purposefully for this project. So today we're gonna draw two more flowers together, and this is gonna be the topic of the video, so let's do this. Alright, so I want to talk a bit more today about my process behind these flower drawings. I've been doing them quite a lot lately, as I'm very inspired by nature these days, and that is probably because I've been missing it for months during our lockdown in Paris. I've always wanted to be able to draw plants and flowers at ease, but they've always been pretty difficult for me to draw, and I'm not sure why. But I guess the best answer to this is probably that I haven't practiced enough. So I decided to finally tackle this and really study more carefully all sorts of plants and flowers to get more comfortable with them. Because the thing is, if you're already familiar with my work, I like to integrate floral and natural elements to my art, but I feel like somehow I've always been doing the same ones. And my solution to this is to start expanding my own visual library with more species. But I decided that I wanted to document myself mostly with plants that are surrounding me or meaningful to me in some kind of way. And I can't really explain why, but I love the idea of filling my visual library and my own art with elements that are part of my own life and experience, instead of, generic ones that I simply find pretty. And I feel like by doing this, my work will be really connected to my own personal story, if that makes any sense. I don't know, that's just a train of thought that has been crossing my mind lately. I recently moved back to the countryside and I took a few strolls in nature a couple times since. I'm always bringing my camera with me to take reference pictures, mostly from plants I'm coming across. And I feel like the more I look at them, the more beautiful and interesting they get. And I just keep discovering new species every day. They've always been quite familiar to me since I was raised in the countryside, but I never really came around to put names on them. So I've been using a phone app named PlantNet that helps me identify them, and basically how it works is that you use it to input your own plant picture and an algorithm will give you the plant name within a couple of seconds, which is pretty amazing to me. I think there are a couple of similar apps that do the same thing, but I'm pretty happy with this one as far as it goes. And it's really fulfilling to finally put names on the plants I've seen my whole life. And yeah, on top of that, I decided that I would draw them to really help me memorize them and to integrate them into my visual library. So, once the plant is identified, I will do a quick Google search about it, figuring its French, English and Latin names as well as its properties. I will also look for more pictures showing it from various angles and lighting conditions to get more references to work from. I always do my best to not directly copy a reference, but instead I try to synthesize everything and get a good understanding of how its volumes, colors and shapes work together. I'm trying to compose the picture and redesign the things the way I want to make a harmonious drawing, which is quite subjective, of course. I like to start with a very simple pencil or color pencil sketch, keeping things pretty raw and loose. trying to figure the big shapes and the overall composition of the plant. And after blocking the basic shapes, I will then go into slightly more details, but not too much. I like to keep my sketch loose enough to have to deal with a bit of improvisation and unexpected details going on whenever I start inking. I don't know, I just enjoy this little sparkle of chaos, but maybe that's just me. Once I'm happy with the sketch, I soften it with my kneaded eraser to make sure it won't be too visible on the finished piece. And I pick a first color from my favorite set of pen, which is the Pentel brush sign. I like inking with colored ink, that's just a personal preference, but I find it way harder to work in black only, and I like being able to suggest the subject color scheme only through line work. I usually start with the green first, but I don't think this has too much of an importance, really. I like to define the contour first, especially for the leaves, and once I will then start adding inner line within the leaves to suggest their veins and volumes. I also try to keep the inner line slightly thinner than the outer one to make the inking look a bit more dynamic. Once I finish the first pass of light green, I like to go over with a darker color and darken some areas, most often on the joints of the plant, where the leaf grows from the stem, as well as the background details. I often, but not always, like to keep some shading difference between the foreground, middle ground and background elements to add more depth to the drawing. I am always very thoughtful about the volumes of the plant and of the leaves I'm inking, so whenever I'm adding details, I'm trying to think in 3D and really try to accentuate the details of those volumes with the lines. I will then figure a lot of things on the go by looking closely at reference pictures and noticing small details such as the way petals overlap, the subtle color change in different parts of the plant, etc. I noticed that very often the plant stems are very different in colors from the leaves, for example. Very often they lean from purple to brown shades and contrast with the green of the leaf, so I keep all of these subtle things in mind when it comes to color picking. I always try to have a lot of line variation and contrast going on. So let's say I'm gonna have a lot of areas that are gonna be very dark and almost completely filled with color, and I'm gonna contrast this with other areas that are very less detailed and even white sometimes, to keep a lot of dynamism within the line and the coloring. Whenever I'm getting by the end of the drawing, I like to go over the outer line of the plant and really thicken them. So I just go over a second time with the same ink color and make them way larger to have more contrast between the outside and the inside of the drawing. And this way I can really accentuate the whole silhouette of the plant and really bring everything together. Now, whenever the plant is fully finished, I like to pimp my drawing quite a bit by adding some sparkles and background element and small details to really make it more unique. I also like to add a bit of color variation to the background by filling it with pastel shapes such as dots, strokes or triangles. And lately I've also been adding some subtle spider webs to the plant by simply drawing light blue lines between some areas and also covering it with tiny dots here and there to add a bit of morning dew. I just love to add these very small details to add some kind of fairy tale-y touch to my illustration. Okay, now we're going to do a second flower for the other side of the poster. This time I wanted to do a couple of quick warm-up sketches to get a better understanding of the flowers before committing to the final piece. Now, I'm gonna let you enjoy this second piece without any of my rambles, as I will go through a very similar process. As usual, the real-time version of this video will be up on my Patreon, so feel free to join me there to unlock access to some behind-the-scenes content and support my work. And yeah, I think we're done for today. So the next step for me will be scanning and cleaning these illustrations before integrating them into the poster. And I'm really excited to see how this will turn out, so I will probably keep you guys posted on Instagram. As usual, I really hope you enjoyed the video and that you learned something by any chance. Again, thank you so much for watching and for being so welcoming here on YouTube. I'm really excited to make more content, so I will do my best to make it happen. Alright, that's it. See you soon. Bye!